Hello, everybody. This is Jackie Martin with A Matter of Motivation and Be More Learning. So excited to be here with another episode of Pop-Up Positivity. And I am thrilled to have Carter Patterson here. Carter and I are both Midwesterners, and we share that in common and a lot of other things. He is an incredible leader here in our community. He is also the owner of Forte. And Carter, I'm just so glad you're here. Would you tell us more about you?
Okay, the life of Carter. The life of Carter is pretty good. No complaints. I've been in Georgia now, gosh, since 92. I became a Georgian at the age of 26, 27. So I lived half my life in Georgia now, but I still miss my Midwest roots where our colleges were bitter rivals, but we've come past that. You've been a great friend, Jackie, over the years. But work got me to Georgia, and the beautiful weather in Georgia and a pretty little girl I met at an office in Georgia has kept me in Georgia for 27 years, and I couldn't be happier to be here.
That's wonderful. Carter, you have probably always been naturally born toward leadership. Is that true? Have you found, you are a leader here in our community, not just in your own business, but in the chamber as the board chairman this year. What drew you to leadership? Has that been the case all your life?
Yeah, I grew up in a family where my father started his own business. My mother was a florist that owned her own flower shop, but she was also in real estate. My grandfather was also in real estate and was very entrepreneurial. And I think just in the realm of owning a business and running a business is a great example of leadership that I've always wanted. When I was growing up, I didn't think about where did I want to go to work. I thought about what business am I going to own one day. And I think that mentality kind of created a leadership mentality for me. And so, I wasn't always the most popular kid. So I think I ran for student council while I was in high school and didn't win, but that didn't keep me from running. And, I just enjoyed being around leadership. When I got to Georgia, I really wasn't involved too heavily in other than just running my business. I really wasn't looking for the community aspect of leadership until one day in my neighborhood in South Forsyth, I decided I have the time now. The kids are a little older. I'm going to run for my HOA board. And
now that's an interesting place to start. That's got a lot of liveliness to it right there.
And it's so funny because so many people I've met that volunteer their time or go through Leadership Forsyth or some of the other programs in our county, they almost all started on their HOA board somewhere. And it's just about getting involved. And when you get involved, you find out what's a really great way to network and meet people. And it's a great way to grow personally inside as well, because you become so educated in what others are doing. Whether it's a fundraiser or a project that needs to be done, whether it was in your neighborhood or for me, the first major project that I got involved with after I was on my HOA board was 141 in South Forsyth, had been widened to 4 lanes. And unlike Johns Creek and Alpharetta and Duluth and other areas that had 4-lane roads, we had these medians with 6-foot tall grass growing in the middle of them. And my neighborhood and everybody wanted to know, well, why don't we have beautiful medians like Johns Creek and Alpharetta? And that led me to do some research with my elected officials, who both pointed me to the Chamber of Commerce. And that's when I met James McCoy. And the Chamber had a blueprint for how communities, took care of their landscape medians. And the first thing James McCoy told me was, well, you need to put Kristen Morrissey on your board. And Kristen has really been a mentor to me and inspiration to me to get involved and to push myself and to get things done. And we put a good board together and figured out how to raise money and just notoriety to get people to know who we were. And we did a whole lot on 141. It's still a work in progress, but I'm really proud of the work we've been able to do. And
Yeah,
throughout that,
that's a beautiful corridor. I mean, really, you've done a lot. That progressed and transformed. That was the start of the transformation, don't you think, of the big road transformations?
I think so. I've always thought that Forsyth County, most of our issues in Forsyth County are growing pains. We are a very rural area that's turning into, a big sophisticated area, and it's just growing pains of, how do we go from being a community of farmers to a community of service-oriented economies. And people that are moving here in droves are coming here kind of still expecting what they had in North Fulton and other areas. And it's just something Forsyth County hadn't needed to address before.
So Carter, how do you feel that that kind of involvement has helped you, just even as a person or even as a leader?
Well, I get a lot of satisfaction just driving up and down 141, being able to see something that I was a part of. No, I was far from being the sole reason of any of that being done. It's like a team sport. There was a lot of people involved, but I feel really good about what I was able to get involved with. And I feel the same way when I served on other committees, such as Keep Forsyth County Beautiful and the projects we did there. The more you give, the more you get back. And there's just a good reciprocity that keeps it going. And a lot of that, Jackie, I gotta say, somehow or another, almost everything I touched in getting involved in service-oriented led me to two places. One was Rotary and how many Rotarians are involved in community service and how many chamber members are involved in community service. And I've met so many great people in both of those organizations. It's just been very fulfilling. I've got some great friends and we get a lot of things done. And you can be as involved as much or as little as you need to be for yourself and what your time commitments are with other responsibilities.
Well, do you notice, because this is pop-up positivity,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like there are certain, certain traits that tend to attract certain people to being as involved as you are. And I feel like I can't help it. I got to do this. So I'm just curious from your perspective, what do you think it is that makes somebody drawn to being able to do Rotary or Keep Forsyth County Beautiful or being like Kristen, a mentor because she's a mover and shaker? What do you think the qualities or traits are that make somebody more drawn to that?
Well, I think you have to have, it's certainly, I think a lot of people have the motivation to do it. It might be the time that might keep people from doing it. When I first got married and had kids, I didn't have time to get too heavily involved in anything except the family. But once those little brats grow up and get out of the house running around, you kind of find yourself with a few hours on your plate. And if you're going to be a part of a community, you should be part of making your community better. And I think that's something that when your kids get older or your youngest child starts to drive and you find that you're not a bus or shuttle service anymore, you need to find ways to make your life fulfilling, and public service has always been near and dear to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're right. There are a lot of, it just makes sense in certain stages of life. I do know, working now with a lot of the younger folks, the kids coming out of high school and colleges, they seem to be drawn toward this public service already. They want to do a lot in the community. Are you noticing that too, or what have you observed?
I certainly do notice it. And I think that within the schools themselves, they really ask each child, each student to get involved. And where do you want, it's not like they're trying to motivate them to do something. Here's, they provide them a long list of things, a long list of clubs. And public service is something that I think is really driven from the schools. And I could see a lot of that when I started on the board of Keep Forsyth County Beautiful, on how many kids were readily available to come do trash pickups and cleanups, throughout the county. And if you remember Kevin Smith, Kevin had a long list of students he could call on at any time to go clean up whatever needed to be done in our county. And but in the same way, the kids are just driven to work and volunteer.
Yeah, I'd love that. Well, so let me circle back then to, you said earlier that your folks were entrepreneurs. And
Mhm.
so it sounds like some of that entrepreneurial spirit is in your DNA. Um, with respect to when you're an entrepreneur and you take that on, there's just a lot of things that you have to find the best way to look at things. Now, I mean, there's lots of skills involved, but with respect to attitude or mindset and things like that, what pieces of those things have you taken from your childhood into your business and adulthood?
Wow, that's a tough one for me. Again, I've always had the mindset that I'm going to be on my own and working for myself at one point. It certainly takes, it's certainly risk taking, and I wouldn't advise anybody to just do it if they don't have a failure plan.
Okay,
Most of
wait, hold on. Expand on that. What do you mean failure plan? Tell us.
Well, with any new venture, you have to know that more businesses are started and fail than start and succeed. And you can have the greatest ideas in the world, and they might not pan out. The key is not to try because you're going to fail. The key is to keep trying until you find something that works. And it might not be your first idea that works. I can talk about my failures as much as my successes. When you find the success, then you grow on that success. But then you keep looking for new opportunities, to expand on that. So I'm not just involved with Forte Data Systems. I started Cumming Cigars with 2 other members. And it's going to be a work in progress for several years till we figure out how to run a cigar business, and if we don't figure out how to run a cigar business, so it'll be something else one day. I'm pretty confident it's going to be a successful cigar business, but we've never owned one before. And we got to go through the steps of learning how to run one and run it well. And we're getting there, and we're having a lot of fun with it. But in the same instance, I can talk to you about a venture I was in, 2007, 13 years ago. I was a minority owner in a minority basketball team, an ABA 2 franchise. And it was a total disaster. I mean, lost a small little fortune on that. But we had a lot of fun, but it was not a venture that was worthwhile. We were playing out of Gwinnett. It was just a debacle. I was out of my element.
Well, so what do you say to yourself then, if you were sharing with others in times of failure, or even in our current circumstances, in times of uncertainty?
Yeah.
What do you say to yourself? How do you move past something that might have been seen as a failure?
Well, even though you might go through failures, you're going to learn something from that failure that's going to make you stronger and more educated. And you can use that to grow into the next thing you look at. So nothing was ever a complete total failure. You learn about, whether it's the agreements or distributors you work with, or in general, how you set up your accounting, or the people you hire. You're going to take something away from your attempts that will make you better for the next one.
Mm. Yeah. And being able to know that that's part of the process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that, because I really think that in some ways is sometimes people get so attached to the outcome and the results that if it doesn't turn out just that way, then it can be devastating to them.
Yeah. So at Forte, we're a software company that's in the insurance industry, automotive related, for warranty repairs. We have spun off we have started many divisions or, other product lines that absolutely failed. We tried it, but we were out of our element. We've started others that succeeded and do well. You always have to have the spirit of growing. If you're not growing, then eventually one day you're going to start shrinking. And so you've got to look for those opportunities. Our superintendent of schools, Dr. Bearden, often states, and I love to steal it. I always give him credit, but I steal his lines, is that you're either getting better or you're getting worse. You're never standing still. And so he encourages, no matter how good the school's numbers are, he encourages everybody to look to be better.
Yeah.
And just be content in where you are.
I love that. I had someone explain that to me. It's like going up the down escalator. If you stop moving up, you don't just stay still. And so I love that. Dr. Bearden said that. Well, and we are in interesting times. And I think it's calling on some extra fortitude, maybe on people's part, or bringing out some kind of an attitude or mindset. Anything you are now using more now in this current environment than maybe you've had to in the past?
Well, certainly Zoom calls or something. I didn't even know what Zoom was 3 or 4 months ago, and I'm in IT. I will tell you that a year ago, before I was the chairman of the chamber, I really wanted to do more online meetings. We had so many meetings that we were all driving to and meeting in little conference rooms. And just the logistics of getting to the meetings really didn't make a lot of sense sometimes for what was achieved in the meetings. And I really think that we're going to come out of this stronger than we were. It might take a while to get there. And I think about, so much of our economy that's going to be changed and different. But I will tell you that we're going to have a lot more meetings like this virtually in the future than we ever would have without this COVID crisis. And so, if I could make the whole thing go away, I would, but we're going to make the best of it. And we are going to be better and stronger when we come out on the other side.
So that always leads me, for those who've watched several of these, I have one question, and it's because this girlfriend of mine was so wise. Every time that I'd worry about change or think about things that are new, she would always ask me, but what if it's better? What if it's better? So whether you're talking about this circumstance or just life in general, when you hear that question asked of you, hey, Carter, what if it's better? What comes to mind for you?
Well, I just think the first thing that comes to my mind is, what if it's better? Well, that's great. That means I can do more. I mean, I am driven to succeed. I thrive off of it. And the more I can, the more I want to do. And that's awesome. Plenty on my plate that I would love to do that I will probably never get to in my life. But if things are better or things move faster, that's just more opportunities I will have.
Yes. Well, and I love, just even before I asked you the question, you said the whole thing about we're going to make it work. We're going to make the best out of things. And I think that kind of epitomizes that. It sounds like that's a natural perspective or attitude that you take. Well, let's make the best of this, even if it isn't ideal. That's the best way to succeed. Wouldn't you agree?
The glass is always half full, not
Yeah,
half.
I love it. That is awesome. Well, Carter, is there any way? I know you are the board chair for the Chamber of Commerce. Is there any way? I don't know. Usually, I'll ask people to share some information about their company. Is there anything you want to share on that front, or any way that people might be able to connect with you? Tell me more.
Well, thank you for asking, because we're at the Chamber, we're in crisis mode. And the Chamber itself as an organization is doing just fine. But I am so proud of the Chamber staff. And, my term is 1 year. And at the end of my term, there'll be another chairman. But this Chamber staff, this is their job. This is their livelihood. And I will tell you that we had the Celebration of Excellence in March, which is the Teacher of the Year celebration at Forsyth. And it was held at the conference center, and everybody's there. And we knew that this thing was going to be bigger than it was. We just didn't know how big it was. And it was later that day when the shelter-in-place rules started coming out. The Chamber was already at work preparing for this pandemic and knowing that businesses were going to be hurt. And we're immediately putting together a plan on how to help our community, not just our members, but our community. And so whether you are a citizen of our county or a business in our county that's not a Chamber member, the Chamber is here for you. And we are putting all of our resources into helping absolutely everyone in our community, regardless of whether you're a member or not. And the Together for FOCO.com website and Facebook page has been put together to help link people that are looking for jobs with employers that have jobs. We're looking to help small businesses apply for their payment protection program loans, our emergency funding, all of the things that are part of the CARES Act. We're doing seminars after seminars after seminars, trying to get out the information that people need today to get through this. So I strongly encourage you all, if you need help, please reach out to us. I bet we can help.
I love it. And if you need a little relaxation, your cigar bar is right downtown.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Thanks for the plug.
Yeah, absolutely. Carter, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being a part.
Thank you for all you do, Jackie.
Absolutely. And thank you all for being a part of another Pop-Up Positivity. We hope to see you again real soon, and stay positive. Take care.